Aaron Rodgers has never been just another quarterback. He is an artist, a surgeon, a showman, and a competitor whose legacy stretches far beyond the numbers in a record book. His journey is one of patience and persistence, brilliance and reinvention, a career that has taken him from overlooked recruit to Super Bowl champion, from understudy to master, from small-town beginnings to the global stage of the NFL. His story is as much about resilience and individuality as it is about greatness. For nearly 2 decades, he has been the heartbeat of the game, the kind of player who makes fans stop what they're doing when he drops back to throw, because they know they might witness something that will never be replicated. Born on December 2nd, 1983, in Chico, California, Rodgers' path to football stardom was far from conventional. In a town where dreams often seemed bigger than the opportunities available, Rodgers quickly distinguished himself as a young athlete with uncommon talent. He wasn't the prototypical quarterback, not the towering figure scouts usually drooled over. He didn't have the hype or the 5-star recruiting profile. But what he did have was intelligence, accuracy, and an almost obsessive love for the details of the game. Even as a kid, he studied football differently. He would watch games not just for entertainment, but for clues, analyzing plays, memorizing tendencies, and understanding the intricacies of how offenses and defenses interacted. Coming out of high school, Rodgers faced the crushing reality that most major college programs didn't want him. Too small, too raw, not a can't-miss prospect. But where others saw a ceiling, Rodgers saw possibility. He enrolled at Butte Community College, a place where few NFL dreams are born, and turned it into his proving ground. It was there that his skill set caught the attention of coaches from the University of California, Berkeley. Transferring to Cal would change the trajectory of his life. At Cal, Rodgers blossomed. His arm strength and precision were undeniable, but what stood out most was his poise. He could control a game with his mind as much as with his arm, reading defenses, adjusting protections, and delivering the ball with timing that felt uncanny. Under coach Jeff Tedford, he became one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, leading Cal to national prominence. In a famous near upset against USC, Rodgers tied an NCAA record with 23 consecutive completions, cementing his reputation as one of the most accurate passers in college football. By the time he declared for the NFL draft in 2005, he was projected to be among the top picks. Draft night, however, became one of the defining moments of his career. Sitting in the green room, Rodgers expected to hear his name early. But as picks were announced, one by one, his name wasn't called. Teams passed on him, choosing other quarterbacks or filling other needs. The cameras lingered on his face, capturing the frustration and disbelief as the hours dragged on. For Rodgers, it was both humiliation and motivation. Finally, with the 24th pick, the Green Bay Packers selected him. What had been a long and painful night turned into a fateful beginning. Though the sting never fully left him, it became fuel. Rodgers would carry the memory of that draft night with him for the rest of his career, using it as proof that sometimes being overlooked only makes your eventual rise that much sweeter. But the waiting wasn't over. In Green Bay, Rodgers arrived in the shadow of Brett Favre, one of the most beloved quarterbacks in NFL history. For 3 years, Rodgers sat on the bench, learning, preparing, watching. The situation wasn't easy. Favre was still performing at a high level, and many fans weren't ready for change. But Rodgers treated those years as a classroom, sharpening his mechanics, studying film, and preparing himself for the moment when opportunity would finally come. That patience, that willingness to bide his time, became a defining trait of his career. When Rodgers finally took over as the Packers starter in 2008, he wasted no time proving that he was ready. From his first season onward, it was clear he was something special. His arm was electric, his throws razor-sharp, his ability to create plays outside the pocket unmatched. Rodgers wasn't just another quarterback. He was redefining what the position could look like. He combined surgical precision with creative improvisation, and his poise in the face of pressure set him apart. Fans who had once been skeptical quickly realized they weren't just watching Favre's successor. They were watching someone who would write his own chapter in Packers history. That chapter reached its climax in the 2010 season. Despite injuries that decimated the roster, Rodgers carried the Packers into the playoffs as a 6th seed. What followed was one of the most remarkable postseason runs in NFL history. Rodgers was unstoppable, dissecting defenses with pinpoint accuracy. In the Super Bowl against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he threw for 304 yards and 3 touchdowns, earning Super Bowl MVP honors and delivering Green Bay its 4th Lombardi trophy. It was the crowning moment of his career, proof that the patience, the waiting, and the perseverance had all been worth it. The years that followed solidified Rodgers as one of the greatest to ever play. He became a 4-time NFL MVP, his seasons in 2011, 2014, 2020, and 2021 showcasing some of the finest quarterback play the league has ever seen. In 2011, he threw for over 4,600 yards and 45 touchdowns with just 6 interceptions, finishing with a passer rating of 122.5, the highest in NFL history at the time. In 2020, at 37 years old, he reminded the world that he was far from done, throwing 48 touchdowns and leading the league in nearly every efficiency metric. His ability to reinvent himself, to adapt to new teammates, new systems, and new challenges was extraordinary. Rodgers' style of play became legendary. His deep balls were works of art, spirals that seemed to drop perfectly into the arms of his receivers. His footwork and pocket awareness allowed him to escape pressure and extend plays in ways that left defenders helpless. And then there were the Hail Marys, those jaw-dropping, last-second heaves that somehow always seemed to land in the right hands. To fans, they felt like miracles. To Rodgers, they were just another expression of preparation meeting opportunity. But his career has not been without heartbreak. For all his brilliance, Rodgers and the Packers often fell short in the playoffs. Time and again, they reached the NFC Championship game, only to fall just short of another Super Bowl appearance. To some, these near misses became a stain on his legacy. But for those who watched closely, the truth was clear. Rodgers' greatness was undeniable, even if circumstances around him didn't always align. His ability to carry teams, to elevate players around him, and to keep the Packers in contention year after year spoke louder than the absence of multiple championships. Rodgers' journey has also been marked by his individuality. He has never been afraid to speak his mind, even when it drew criticism. His candid interviews, his philosophical musings, his willingness to challenge narratives, all of it made him one of the most fascinating figures in sports. At times polarizing, at times misunderstood, Rodgers has always been authentic. He has lived his career on his terms, refusing to conform to expectations. Whether loved or critiqued, he has remained unapologetically himself, and that is part of what has made his story so compelling. After nearly 2 decades in Green Bay, Rodgers' story took a dramatic turn. Following years of tension with the Packers front office, he was traded to the New York Jets in 2023. For Packers fans, it was the end of an era. For Rodgers, it was an opportunity to write one more chapter, to chase another ring with a franchise starving for success. His arrival in New York electrified the fan base, bringing hope and belief to a team long mired in mediocrity. Though his debut season was cut short by injury, Rodgers' presence alone changed the energy around the Jets. Even sidelined, he was mentoring younger players, instilling confidence, and showing that his influence went beyond the field. Rodgers' impact on the game is immeasurable. He has inspired a generation of quarterbacks with his ability to blend precision and creativity, with his command of the game and his improvisational genius. Young stars today mimic his movements, his release, his confidence in making throws that once seemed impossible. His fingerprints are on the evolution of the quarterback position itself. And yet, perhaps Rodgers' greatest legacy is not simply his numbers or his accolades. It is the message of his journey. From being overlooked in high school, to sitting on draft night as the hours passed, to waiting 3 years behind a legend, Rodgers' story is one of patience and perseverance. It is a story about turning rejection into fuel, about refusing to let others define your ceiling, about seizing your moment when it finally arrives. It is about authenticity, about living and leading in a way that is true to yourself, even when the world demands something else. As Rodgers continues his career, whether it brings another championship or not, his place in football history is secure. He will always be remembered as one of the most gifted passers the game has ever seen, a quarterback who combined intelligence, talent, and artistry in ways that may never be duplicated. But more than that, He will be remembered as a figure who inspired, who challenged, who captivated. Thank you for joining us in celebrating the remarkable journey of Aaron Rodgers, a legend whose story reminds us that greatness is not only about the trophies you win, but about the resilience you show, the authenticity you embrace, and the impact you leave behind. If his story inspired you, if his brilliance reminded you of what is possible when talent meets determination, then like this video, share it with others who value greatness. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another story of the athletes who continue to shape the world of sports.